All right, so I just had an existing customer that we're doing work for talk down to me, and I didn't even catch it at first. It was kind of sly, but I had to revisit the conversation in my head. And then I was like, yeah, he definitely did. So let's talk about problem customers, problem subcontractors while we're at them, my best practices, and what I do in this case while we're already obviously signed contract, doing work for them, but just how I'm gonna handle this and going forward. So let's get right into it. All right, so in contracting, usually when you have issues with the customer, it's mostly going to be the contractor's fault for not communicating, not being clear with something. Usually you didn't do your job right. Usually, but in my case, this with this customer, I don't think so. I think I did my job perfectly, and it goes without stating because there's a couple, obviously a husband and a wife, and I've said no multiple times to this customer, and the husband comes and says, "Man," and then she's actually apologized to me multiple times, and even the husband says that he never gets an apology from her. So I know there's things that need to be said, and that's what we're going to get into right now. So let's go in. So first off, all right, what are you going to do? You're going to vet your customers. You don't want to get into this situation. Vet your customers. Basically, obviously, with your pricing, you don't want to be the cheapest person because you're going to track the bottom of the barrel customers 100%. So make sure you raise your prices. Ask open-ended questions. Let them talk. They'll basically tell you what they're expecting, how bad their, prior, if they have nothing but bad things to say about the prior contractors they've hired, then they're not going to have anything good to say about you, period. So that's a red flag. If they're OCD, if there's certain types, if they live in certain areas, I don't make this stuff up. It's just what happens. I don't do it. Now, obviously, OCD, there's a price for everything. If they want to pay a certain rate for being a PETA customer, pain in the butt customer, then yeah, absolutely. If the cash is there, we do not care. That's my business motto. Like, if the checks cash, great. But the checks are going to cash at the rate I dictate to deal with certain things. So, and they do. Absolutely 150%. They do. And the checks cash. And this is why I'm dealing with this. No big deal. This is all, I will repeat, this is all first world problems, period. So, other red flags, like I said, they have nothing bad but bad things and bad experiences with other contractors. It can't all be bad. So, either, and then if they are, then why are you there, first off? And then they want free services. They, ask for a free estimate right up front. They only want something for free, which means they want something for nothing. That's a red flag. I don't care what you guys say. You guys can do free estimates. You can do whatever you want to. But if a customer, first thing they say to you is they want something for free, big red flag because they want something for nothing, period. So, and I'll link in the description. There's going to be plenty more of these. I got a couple videos out there. I'll link them if I can find them in the description. Check them out because, yeah, we go into depth with this stuff too. So, same goes for subcontractors. Let's get into subcontractors. I've fired some. I'm going to fire some more. But subcontractors, same thing. If they're obviously late, they don't have very good communication. They basically do not. They call off on the first day. It's ridiculous. I heard a roofing sub a little while ago, and it was all set to go for I say it was a Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. Hey, we're gonna be there. Boom, boom. He calls and tells me he can't make it an hour before he's supposed to be there that day. So, yeah, basically erased his number. Don't even talk to him. I didn't block it, but don't even talk to him. I forgot about him. I don't even know his name anymore. I don't even remember his number. He did reach out one time asking, hey, is that roof still available? And I just responded, no, it's done. Period. It's been done. So you have to have zero tolerance for that kind of thing. And unless unless the expectations set different, then obviously if they're let you know a day prior, hey, I can't be there because something happened or something like that. No problem. It's things come up. Customer, you gotta let your customers know. You've got to let your subcontractors know, and the subs have to let the other contractor, the general contractor, know as well. Communication goes both ways, 150%. So now let's get into this customer. Yes, I've referred, and again, small plug. I sell my contract. You guys can reach out to me via email. I'll link in the description if you want to buy my contract. But obviously, my contract is basically just there so I can attach a scope of work to it. And that's basically what I refer to everything. So if a customer has, questions about this, that, and the other, you can be like, all right, per our contract, here's your scope of work. It's not included, period. Here's your change order if you want it. So, And customers don't like, some customers don't like hearing no, don't like saying no. Some people you can probably tell that as soon as they give you money, they think they own you or whatnot. So it is what it is. But this customer was talking to me, the husband, and was saying, hey, like he was rooting for me, like, hey, pulling myself up for my bootstraps, and like, hey, we just want this taken care of, and trying to, kind of be, I guess, I mean, I'm not offended at all. I don't think I'm offendable. You can't offend me, period. Like, honestly, like, I don't think I've got to value your opinion more than my own about myself. And I think besides my wife, there's nobody else. There's nobody in the world that can offend me, period. But I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. And he was like trying to get free services or trying to like elicit some free labor for something, basically saying, hey, we know you're small, or we know, you're just pulling yourself up and trying to get started in this thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, but here, I was like, okay, but you're asking for like $800 in labor. So, I'll submit a change order to you for $800. And then he was like, oh, I'm going to go, I'll talk to, the wife, and then we'll see. Okay, no problem. Like, but I didn't really notice it. I didn't catch it right away because I don't pay attention like that. But then I was like, whoa, yeah, that's kind of a dick move. But I was like, whatever. Like, and then, I'll get you your change order. Ended up being like $2,300. And we're still waiting to hear back from that for that change order. But we're into a project. I get it. And now from now on, like, if you want to, if you want to address it like this, then it's going to be a change order every time for everything, as it should be. I'm not trying to nickel and dime. I'm not going to send a change order for $10. But if it's $100, yeah, those $100 change orders add up to thousands really quick. So just keep that in mind. It's not nickel and diming somebody. If it's not covered under your contract and your scope of work and it wasn't discussed per my contract, it's not included, period. So, and I explained that to them multiple times. Hey, this is not discussed. You guys want to add, like, they wanted to add a bunch of electrical stuff, and it's per the prints that they had the architect draw up for them. Like, if it's included in the prints and we bid it off the prints, yes, absolutely. Show me where your additional 18 lights or whatever was included. No, it wasn't. So, change order has to ensue. There's additional work, and this goes for multiple customers. Like, I've had this happen a bunch of times, and most of the time it is like I have another customer like, hey, can I get this, this, and this? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll get you change. Oh, it wasn't included? No, here we can refer back to page whatever of the contract with the scope of work. You've got 4 lights over here, you got 3 over here. Now you want 8 here and just 2 over here. We've got to have a change order for the difference. Okay, no problem. Absolutely, write it up. Boom. No problem. And then, I'll send over the change order or write it up right there, and then they sign it. I'll collect payment because change orders are always paid in full up front before you do the work. Period. Don't even go there. Like, most of the time, there's probably some of you that's probably news to you, but you should not do any work additional to your contract or what you've been paid to do or signed contract and agreement to do without payment up front, period. Because 100%, maybe I'd say 99% of the time, make sure it's in writing, obviously, the customer is going to forget or not agree to pay for the extra charges because it's the end of the project. The work is already done, and they already got you over the barrel, basically. So do not get stuck holding the bag. Make sure they pay for everything up front. I've had a customer years ago. It was a basement. One of the worst customers I've ever had. But, I mean, this is years ago. And, the pretty big basement, it's like 60,000 square foot. We weren't doing anything. It was like a half bath in there, and some flooring, and like a small kitchenette area. Like, it wasn't that big. So it was like $60,000 worth of work. Nothing crazy. And then she made it a full bathroom with additional square footage. So it turned it into about 120 square foot bathroom. Added a sauna, a full kitchen, like full functional kitchen, straight up full kitchen with refrigerator, stove, water source, everything. And then added, I guess, additional area for the husband to have an office down there because she didn't want to see him in the first floor, whatever it was. And then so obviously change, in a bar, like a bar area too for her kitchen. So those change orders, she signed them. I collected payment, but then it got to the point where I needed my original contract payment stipulations. And then she got really poopy with me. So we'll just keep it like that, like where she became to knocking things off my contract or like scope of work. And that's, I can allow it and I cannot allow it depending on my contract. or what I want to do, because it's like, we already have the contract, already have people signed up, you already gave me a deposit, we're doing this work. But if she wanted somebody else to do it, no problem. I basically relinquished my scope of work to her because I didn't want to do it. We've already done so much work. So that $60,000 basement turned into, I think, well over 6 figures. And she started running out of money. I knew this because, for one, she told me her husband kind of let it slip, kind of thing. And it basically turned into, she's trying to save money here, pension dimes, pension everything here to try to get within, their budget or whatever. But like, I keep my change orders, I keep track of everything. They show the exact amount of the change order, the prior change orders, and the entire amount of the project in every change order. So we keep track of this. This was not new information to her, but it is what it is. And we got out of there. Obviously, I didn't get a bad review from her, which I wouldn't have accepted, obviously. But I didn't get I didn't get any review from her. But we were done. At the end of it, she was, happy with things. But it got real. Even my subs were kind of uncomfortable there, because there are certain things she was expecting that, for one, was not included. Two, she was adding after the fact. So this happens a lot. We're in the customer service business, but it's all about how you handle it. And how I handle it, we'll get into this and then we'll be done with this video. I basically, right up front, you attack the problem right away. Do not let it fester. If somebody texts you, unless it's on the weekend, like, I straight up ignore texts and stuff on the weekends, and unless it's like a main issue. But if somebody texts you, text them right back, call them, or if you can, show up in person. You will find that I've had customers tell me that I'm effing, like I'm screwing them, blah, blah, blah. And anybody knows me, that's never the case, obviously, because, lack of work or whatever it was. So I'm like, I'll pick up the phone, or I'll literally stop by there. And then all of a sudden, they're not so mad anymore. It was some sort of misunderstanding about something that was not included in the contract. It's amazing how that works when you're actually in front of them, asking them to point out the problem, and then showing them in the contract where that's not covered. It's funny how that is. And it's also funny where, they want you to do some work. It's really important for them, but as soon as you show them, tell them that you're going to charge them, it's not so important anymore now, isn't it? So it's kind of funny, right? So that's all I got. I mean, just be thorough, and you have to have a contract. You've got to have your ducks in a row. If it's not in writing, then it doesn't exist, period. Like, it's got to be in writing. You've got to have some sort of text chain, some email of, material choices, all that kind of stuff. All they can tell you. I can have great conversations with customers. I was like, no problem, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, do me a favor, text that over to me or email that over to me, so we have it in writing, so I can have a reference to go back to order that material, to do that change order, to do whatever I need to. Attack those problems. If it's a bad customer, or if it's something, it's a misunderstanding. Best customers I've ever had, I'm working with right now currently, fantastic customers. And they called me, they're like, hey, Richard, I just need to clear something up. Absolutely. Talk to them, answer that phone call, call them right back. It got cleared up 150%. Now, if I let that go and fester over a weekend, or, not return their phone call and have lack of communication like a lot of customers or contractors do, then yeah, it would be a problem, but it's not. Be clear and concise, and absolutely just attack any issues with any customer right away and nip it in the butt. And then stand behind your contract and be willing to say no. Saying no to a customer is almost more important than saying yes. I say no to customers more often than I say yes, even when it includes money, because one, we don't have the time, it's not fitting in our schedule, or two, I just don't want to prolong the project because either we're already behind, or I don't want to deal with the customer anymore. And most likely, I just don't want to work with the customer anymore. Like, I've already asked, hey, can you do this, this, and this? No, we just don't have time. Sorry. Or no, we're not interested in doing that project. It's too small of a scope of work, blah, blah, blah. It might ruffle some feathers. Like and subscribe, you guys. I'll see you in the next video. I appreciate it. Whew. Let's get on to the next work week, right?